Alright, y'all, so look, welcome to the channel, first video of the channel, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my dream fights for UFC 300, excluding kind of the notorious. Obviously, we already know he has a fight booked with Michael Chandler for International Fight Week, and these fights are strictly my opinion, all subjective fights. I know some of these fights on this list are gonna be kind of unrealistic, but, you know, these are my dream fights. You know, I go to sleep at night thinking about what fights can the UFC make for this super stellar card, this UFC 300 card. And I'm like, okay, these ones are some of the most valid fights they can make for this card. So let's get right into it. For the first fight on the list, we have Colby Covington versus Ian Machado Gary or Shavkat Rakhmonov. And I have both of these guys on the list because right now in the welterweight division, these are probably the two superstar golden boys of the welterweight division. Like, basically, these are the best prospects of the welterweight division, the one that the UFC, these are the two that the welterweight division are like, you know, the UFC wants to build them up so they can become, especially Ian Gary, they want to build him up to become the next Conor McGregor and everything. With Shavkat Rakhmonov, he's 18-0, nine finishes, or no, all finishes with 9 submissions and 8 knockouts, or 8 like stops. You know what I mean? So these guys are going to be boosted up to the maximum. So for my first bullet, I got absolutely insane press conference. Obviously, I'm talking about Ian Gary. Shavkat can't speak English. So we already know Colby Covington is a personality. He's going to be chirping on the mic, talking to Ian Gary. You know, we had a first-hand glimpse of what he was about to talk about during UFC 296 when he was on the podium with Leon Edwards. You know, Ian Machado Gary was supposed to be on that card, but he got sick and everything. But we already saw a glimpse of what Colby was about to unleash. Colby was about to go in on Ian Gary, and I think a fight between him and Ian Gary on the UFC 300 on that presser with all other names are going to be on this list, would be absolutely insane. The build-up for this fight would be bonkers, bro. Absolutely. For my second bullet I got, this is a great fight, or this is a great test for Ian Gary. You know, Ian Gary, honestly, he's been fighting cans. I think he's kind of underrated, and like a fight between him and Colby, you know, Colby's kind of like a vet in the welterweight division. You know, those two barn burner brawls with Kamaru Usman, you know, the first one, Mark Not So Goddard, kind of, you know, early stoppage and everything. Mark Not So Goddard, fuck you. You know, the second fight went, you know, all the way to the decision, but, you know, the second fight was kind of contentious and up in the air. Some people, like myself, really thought that Colby won that fight, but they gave it to Kamaru Usman anyway. I mean, like, it was a really close fight. Like, you know, it could have gone either way. Third bullet, styles make fights. Oh my God, this is going to be an instant deal, bro. Colby Covington's pressure. Well, I don't even know if Colby Covington has the same pressure that he used to have. Because in that fight between Leon, we can all agree in that fight between Leon, that wasn't the same Colby that broke Kamaru Usman. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? But, I mean, now that he's already tasted defeat, he's going to go into this fight, you know, guns blazing. He's going to pressure the fuck out of Ian Gary. And we haven't really seen Ian Gary's, like, ground game for real. Like, we don't know if it's, like, sturdy. And plus, like, you know, in the fight between Song Kanon, Ian Gary got clipped. You know what I mean? So, and Colby's boxing isn't the greatest, but it's decent. You know, I feel like, you know, a puncher's chance, Colby can land a really good strike on Ian Gary. And for Shavkat Rakhmonov, same thing goes for like the first, for like the second bullet, styles make fights. I think, you know, both of them are really good on the ground. I think if I were to give the stand-up to anybody, I'd give it to Colby Covington because we've seen a little bit more. You know, the fight with, I think it was Jeff Neal with Shavkat Rakhmonov, he was getting lit up on the feet. So we know that he's not really super invulnerable when it comes to, like, the feet, you know what I mean? He can get hit and everything. And I think, like, on the ground, Colby would give him, like, insane comp. You know what I mean? Colby Covington is like a national collegiate wrestler, NCAA, really insane record. I think Colby Covington could go crazy on him. And then for my last bullet, I have the resurgence of the people's champ, America's champion, and Donald Trump's favorite champ, Colby Covington. I think if he beats if he beats Shavkat, I won't say superstardom, because Colby Covington is already a fan favorite, but I say if he beats Shavkat, his stock would go up astronomically, beating up the UFC's best prospect right now, 18-0, all these finishes and everything. Colby Covington would really make a statement beating Shavkat Rakhmonov or Ian Machado Gary. And so for our next fight, we got Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. This will be a barn burner of a fight. Actually, I want to say a barn burner because, I don't know. It would definitely be a clash, an absolute clash of styles, because, Alex Pereira, well-known Hall of Fame kickboxer in 2 divisions in, kickboxing and everything. That's going to be a thing. And then Jamal Hill's a really, scrappy boxer, leaves everything on the feet. Oh, no holds bar. And then we got the champion who never lost. Jamal Hill never lost his belt. That's another thing we have to bring up. Jamal Hill has never lost his belt. He was playing basketball, cooked his ankle or his Achilles, something. He tore something, right? He never lost his belt, kind of like, the Yuri kind of situation where Yuri fucked up his shoulder, worst shoulder injury of all of UFC. Dana White was slicing that up, saying that it was the worst shoulder injury that he's ever seen throughout UFC history. UFC been a thing for 30 plus years, so it's kind of a statement. So Jamal Hill never losing his belt, that would be a really good storyline, avenging it and everything, kind of beating Glover Teixeira in the beginning of the year for 2023. And then at the beginning of 2024, he kind of beats, his successor, his protege, his mentee. That'll be a little thing right there. The revenge plot for Alex, kind of, going back to my last point. Alex beating Jamal Hill now would kind of avenge his sensei type shit, with Glover, because, Jamal Hill kind of put the pause on Glover Teixeira during that fight in the beginning of the year, 2023. And I think if he beats Jamal Hill, potentially during, I don't know. I can see this fight happening during 300 or maybe a little before or a little bit after, because this fight has to happen somewhere in 2024. This fight has to. People are talking about Alex Pereira versus Izzy. I don't think that's a fight that they have to make. First off, Izzy's coming off a loss against Sean Strickland. That beef has to be settled. With the Dricus du Plessis, we still have to see who comes on top against Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. Whoever, I feel like for that fight, whoever becomes the champion, whoever wins that fight, it's different timelines that happen. Sean Strickland gets the belt. We can see Hamzat go up and fight him for the belt, or we can see an Izzy rematch. But I feel like if they were to make an Izzy rematch, they would have made that already. You know what I mean? Even though I think Dricus is still the number 2 contender. Is he the number 1 contender? I don't know. He's up there. You know what I mean? So, this will be a revenge plot for Alex. Avenge his sensei Glover Teixeira, who lost to Jamal Hill in the early portion of 2023. And for my last point, this will be a super entertaining fight. These guys aren't really the type of guys to go onto the ground, they don't really have a really strong ground game. We saw really good ground game from both of these guys. Jan Blachowicz kind of took Alex to the ground a few times and everything. He was decent. He wasn't anything super stellar, but he was decent. Jamal Hill was taken down by Glover a few times. So, they know their way on the ground, but these are 2 stand-up fighters. We don't expect anything from them on the ground. So this is going to be an absolute clash on the feet. It's going to be an entertaining fight as fuck, and it's going to be a hell of a revenge plot for Alex Pereira. All right, so moving on to our next fight, we got Islam Makhachev versus Charles do Bronx Oliveira 2, the rematch. For my first point, this is going to be a rematch that everyone likes, especially the Charles fans. Charles fans want this rematch. You know what I mean? Charles kind of, he was going crazy And then the second fight, he threw that little fly kick that, kind of exposed him. He got punished, got fucking rocked on the feet. And then it went down from there. We kind of need like a Charles redemption. I know we kind of got that against Beneil Dariush, but Beneil Dariush is washed. I don't even know when Beneil Dariush was in his prime. I guess, but Beneil Dariush wasn't really that much of like comp for Charles Oliveira, and people were saying that Beneil Dariush was gonna beat Charles Oliveira, and Charles Oliveira didn't have a chance against the fight with Beneil Dariush. I had Charles, bro, knockout second round, and that's what happened, man. We need him to fight Charles right now, not Charles, Islam. We need him to fight Islam right now. We need that redemption. And then for my second point, we have, I don't know if this fight might happen. Islam's feeling himself right now. Beat Volkanovski twice. First round was an absolute barn burner. Went to the fifth round, kind of contentious. At the beginning of the fight, I kind of gave it to Volkanovski, but after watching it, again and again, I gave it to Islam. I gave Islam the second, third, and fourth round, I believe, And then after that, UFC 294, the Abu Dhabi card, he knocks Volkanovski out in the first round by a head kick. Head kick KO, gets started in the first round. Absolute menace, and then gets promoted to pound for pound #1 champ at the end of October, which was insane, over John Jones. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna see my opinion on John Jones later in this video. But Islam, I don't know. Islam, he's calling the shots right now. He says he wants to go up to welterweight and fight Leon Edwards. I don't know how real that's gonna be. I feel like, Islam still hasn't fought a contender, nor has he fought a prospect in his division yet. He's not fought a lightweight yet. So maybe UFC 300 or before UFC 300, we can see him fight, either Justin Gaethje or maybe Arman Tsarukyan. I'm hearing things around the MMA community saying that Charles Oliveira already has like a fight brewing in the works with, but like I don't know, man. Islam the king, man. He's calling the shots. So I don't know. And plus, like I know Charles is scared of Islam. He doesn't want to fight Islam anymore. He doesn't want to fight. He didn't even want to fight in Abu Dhabi. That's why he got injured. I don't know, man. That injury was kind of iffy for me. I feel like that was kind of like staged. I don't know, man. I don't know. And I'm a Charles fan too, so you know what I mean? I don't know if Charles wants to fight Islam on his terms. Like, if this was in Brazil, Charles would. I promise you, if that fight, if UFC 94 was in Brazil, Charles wouldn't have gotten cut that time. Like, how do you get cut 10 days out in your redemption fight? You know what I'm saying? This is a championship bout. How do you get, why are you going hard in sparring? Honestly, that sparring partner that he had to get booted instantly. How are you going to do that to Charles Oliveira? Insane. So this fight was supposed to happen. I kind of went into that with my second one. I was kind of yapping. This fight was supposed to happen for UFC 294, but it didn't because Charles got injured and everything. And then for my next point, this would be an entertaining fight. I still believe, let's forget what happened in the first fight. We know Charles got starched on the feet and choked out. But, knowing not to throw useless flying knees, at the pound for pound #1 champion, Charles Oliveira going into this fight would be 10 toes. Like, he's going to know what to do. He's going to learn. I presume he's looking at film. He knows what to do. And Islam has gotten so much better on the feet. Islam's stand-up game has been so underrated lately. Knocking out Volkanovski, Alexander Volkanovski. Alexander Volkanovski is a tank. You don't just knock him out. I think that's like the first time he's been knocked out in the UFC, and then Islam Makhachev was the guy to do it. Yeah, like Islam Makhachev's stand-up game has been so underrated, and I think going into this rematch, Charles Oliveira will not, underrate Islam anymore, because I feel like during the first fight, Islam was like, I think the number 5th or 8th ranked lightweight in the division. So going into that fight, Charles was like, fuck this kid. Who does he think he is? And so he was kind of just like trying shit during that fight. I don't think during the rematch he's going to be doing that. He's going to be 1,000% focused, in the zone, all of that. And for my last point, whoever wins this fight is the lightweight GOAT. I think Islam Makhachev right now is already like fishing in GOAT status or lightweight GOAT status right now as of like we speak, January 6th. I already think Islam Makhachev is already like fishing, that is like swimming in that pool of GOAT status for the lightweight division. I think, when it comes to Khabib and everything, Khabib had, Ali Quinta, Michael Johnson, Edson Barbosa, Conor, Dustin Poirier, and Gaethje, but they weren't pound for pound number ones like Volkanovski, and Islam beat him twice. You know what I mean? And Islam's already a better all-around fighter than, Khabib is, better on the feet. I'd say it's kind of a here and there when you want to pick either Islam or Khabib to be better on the ground. But right now, I'll give it to Khabib. But as an all-around fighter, Islam is better than Khabib, bro. He's already pound for pound number one. And I think his reign is going to be super long during, his lightweight career. And Charles Oliveira already has the resume to back him up. Justin Gaethje, Poirier, Michael Chandler, Ferguson, fucking Lee. Like, I don't know, man, but Charles Oliveira already has a resume to back it up. He beats Islam, the pound for pound number one. He's gonna become the lightweight GOAT for sure. End of discussion, point blank, period. So for my next fight, we got Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. And this is gonna be an absolute barn burner of a fight. Absolute barn burner. We got Justin Gaethje, ruthless on the feet. We got, insane durability, insane endurance. Same thing that goes with Max Holloway is the leading scorer for most significant strikes throughout the UFC right now. Insane durability, insane chin, insane endurance. This fight is not going onto the ground. It's going to be like a Wonder Boy versus Kevin Holland type of fight where as soon as it goes to the ground, they just stand up. I think this is going to be a super entertaining fight. Both of them are stand-up fighters. We're going to see a bunch on the feed. It's going to be an absolute brawl. It's probably going to just happen on the logo. You know what I mean? And for my third point, I think Islam Makhachev, is the king of the division right now and is just handpicking fights. But I'm hearing some things about him fighting Justin Gaethje in like a Saudi Arabia card. So that can happen. But, this is a dream fight and this would be an absolute killer. And for my last point, the BMF belt, the BMF title is up for grabs. I don't know what they're doing with the BMF. It's still kind of like a filler belt, a filler title, with Jorge Masvidal and everything. So I don't know if the winner of this fight, obviously Max, if he beats the current BMF holder, will take that strap. But we have some stakes basically. And then for my next fight, my most favorite fight of this card, of this dream list, we got Israel Adesanya versus Khamzat Chimaev. Oh my God, this is the fight that you gotta make right now. UFC 300 would be a banger. It's already a banger with all the fights that I've already called right now. But this fight will go down in history. Israel Adesanya, the style bender, Khamzat Chimaev. This fight would be talked about for years. Oh my God, it's been talked about for years. Khamzat has been calling out Izzy since he's been in the welterweight division, since he was in 170. Israel Adesanya was a reigning champion. Khamzat was hungry, bro. He was trying to fight everybody. You know what I mean? Styles make fights. Israel Adesanya, stand-up guy, master kickboxer, probably one of the best strikers in all of UFC history. He's up there, in my opinion. Khamzat Chimaev, 10 out of 10 grappling, 10 out of 10 wrestling. You know what I mean? First round, Khamzat is a mystical fighter, so you already know that. You know what I mean? This is going to be an absolute like killer in the first round. I feel like this isn't going to go past the first round, low key, because like it's low key kind of a toss up. Because if Khamzat goes crazy on Izzy during the first round, subs him out, taps him out in the first round, that's Khamzat. But Izzy can damn well just go in there and starts the fuck out of Khamzat and knock him out in the first round clean, spark his jaw clean off. So I don't know, man, because we already know Khamzat has cardio issues and everything. You know, he's been sick recently, so we don't know how that's going to, you know, impact him during later fights, future fights. But before that, he kind of had some gas tank issues. We saw that against Kamaru Dean. We saw that with Kamaru Usman. We saw that a little bit against Gilbert Burns. I think that because that fight was a war, it wasn't really a cardio issue. They were just getting pounded, you know what I mean? But against Kamaru, you know, he blew his load during the first round, and then during the second and third, it was kind of iffy for me. I still gave Khamzat that fight. You know, he was a lot more dominant in that fight than Kamaru was. People are kind of just like, you know, trying to fraud check Khamzat, saying, oh, he's not as good as we thought he was. But then again, people were putting him up on a pedestal when he had like 3 fights in the UFC. Come on now, stop it. Khamzat Chimaev is going to be the next middleweight champion. Stop it. Social media presence and fan bases. Khamzat Chimaev has like 8 million on IG. I think Israel has like 10 mil on IG. You know, they have insane fan bases. You know, the media presence these are probably like the golden boys of the UFC. Not Israel, you know, nowadays, but Khamzat Chimaev, you know, back when he was like a streaking contender, when everybody loved him, because nowadays people don't really fuck with him that much. I don't know why. They think it's a fraud. They think he's gotten fraud checked against Burns, fraud checked him, and Kamaru fraud checked him. I don't know how. I think those were like, you know, Burns at the time was like the second ranked welterweight in the division. Kamaru is still the first ranked welterweight of division last year, or no, the year before last, 2022. Kamaru Usman was the pound for pound number 1 GOAT. So I don't know. Khamzat kind of went crazy on him for, you know, where he is right now in his career. He still has like a few fights in his career. You know, this fight would be absolute madness. The fan bases would be insane. This fight would get so much buzz, insane buzz. You know, this fight would be, yeah, I said that during my first point. This fight would be kind of close. It can go either way, because Izzy has the power to just starch Khamzat and knock him clean out in the first round. But Khamzat also, first round Khamzat is kind of a mystical fighter and can go out there and just pop Izzy's head off like a pimple in the first round. So I don't know, man. You know, this fight is crazy. And for my last bullet, this fight, for the winner of this fight, they fight the winner of Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis for the championship. So there's a lot of history going into this fight, you know, with Izzy, Sean beat Izzy, and Izzy and DDP, you know, the more African, you know, plot line and all that bullshit. So if Izzy goes out there and beats the shit out of Khamzat and knocks him out clean in the first round, not only will his stock go up astronomically, he's going to be number 1 in the queue for the winner of Sean and DDP. And I think like a rematch against Sean and Izzy would kind of be a little close, you know, going on, basing it off of the first fight. Sean kind of dominated him for like 5 straight rounds. It really wasn't that close. You know, DDP is really good on the feet. You know what I mean? He could take Izzy down and just sit on him, you know, for like 5 rounds and everything. So I think that would be those two would be really good fights. With Khamzat already has, you know, history with Sean Strickland. They trained at the same gym and everything. Khamzat was in the media saying that he'd kill Sean Strickland, he'd beat the shit out of him, all that shit. And then in a fight between him and Dricus Du Plessis, it'd be really close in my opinion. You know, Dricus isn't really a slouch on the ground, has some hands, better hands than Khamzat. I think Khamzat's hands are so trash. He needs a better striking coach ASAP. And yeah, man, the winner of this fight is first in queue for the middleweight championship. And so for my last fight of this card, my dream fights card, we got Jon Jones versus Tommy Aspinall. Look, this fight has to happen. Tom Aspinall is the interim champion. We need a championship unifier. We need a title unifier. We do not. And I mean, we do not want to see Jones versus Stipe. Stipe's an old man. He fights at he's a firefighter, dude. You know, he's answering calls at the fire department. He's not worried about fighting, dude. He's a family man, dude. We don't want to see Stipe fight. We know this is a legacy fight for Jon Jones. He just wants to fight Stipe because it looks good on his record. He beat a legend. He beat a heavyweight legend because, you know, Stipe is considered the heavyweight GOAT, in my opinion. Cain Velasquez and DC kind of outrank him. In my opinion, my strict opinion, all subjective. I think Cain Velasquez and DC kind of outrank him in GOAT status, but it's whatever. He beat DC, it's whatever, I don't care. The UFC wants to give Jon Jones an easy fight so he can run off into the sunset with Stipe. We all know that the fight between him and Stipe isn't really going to be that comp. Stipe got folded like a lawn chair in the fight between him and Ngannou that happened in 2021. It's been 3 years since Stipe stepped foot in an octagon. Are you insane? And you're giving him the pound for pound number 2. You know, people consider him the GOAT of, you know, the sport. You're going to give him Jon freaking Jones, Jon Turinabol Jones? Are you insane, bro? Come on. Like, we don't want to see this fight. You know, this is just a ploy fight so both of them can run off into the sunset. We can get like a double retirement from, I don't want to see this shit. No one wants to see this shit. Gane v. Jones was absolute zero comp, easy belt snack for Jon Jones. Yes, look, Jon Jones before the Cyril Gane fight didn't fight until 2020. He fought in March of 2023 against Cyril Gane. I think Cyril Gane pissed his pants during that fight. I think it wasn't really that. Not even I think. We all know, all MMA fans can just tell you that fight was zero comp. Gane shit himself. You know, I think he was just like, I wouldn't even say under the lights. It's just like Jon Jones comeback fight, and you know, Jon Jones is like, you know, perceived the GOAT of the division. Gane was probably just shitting himself during that fight. And so he, as soon as that guillotine was sunk in, he didn't even try to like fight it off. He just tapped. We need Jon Jones to fight like contenders. You are the champion. We need you to fight absolute prospects and contenders and streaking scousers. And like, come on, bro. We need you to fight Tommy. Bro. And then for my next point, Tommy is a newly crowned Indian champ. Like, what? Dude, this is how it goes. You know, McGregor was like the interim champion against Aldo, Unifier. Look at that. Fucking Holloway, Volkanovski. Look at that. Like, come on. Poirier and, you know, Gaethje, interim champions, got the fucking fight. Like, we need you to fight the interim champion. That's how it's supposed to go. That's how, like, meritocracy goes. You know what I mean? You can't just fight Stipe because he's, you know, the quote-unquote GOAT of the heavyweight division. We need you to fight the interim champion and unify that undisputed belt, Jon Jones. Come on, what are you doing? And for my last point, Jon Jones doesn't deserve any favors from the UFC. Are you insane? Mr. Turinabol himself, Mr. I just drove under the influence and hit a pregnant woman? What? Mr. I just banged my head on a cop car? All that? What? Bro, the UFC, why do you keep giving Jon Jones all of these favors? He hasn't been good to y'all at all. Yeah, he's like, you know, the undisputed, you know, the quote unquote undisputed GOAT in the division. I don't consider him the GOAT. As soon as you touch PEDs, as soon as you get caught doing PEDs, because we all know 70% of the UFC does PEDs. As soon as you get caught during performance enhancing drugs, you cannot be considered in the GOAT pool. You can't be in the GOAT pool. You know, there are people like GSP and DJ that have not been caught doing performance enhancing drugs. I think they outrank Jon Jones in, you know, GOAT status. The UFC should not be giving Jon Jones favors whatsoever. You know, him picking old man Stipe, old fireman Stipe for his retirement fight. Come on. UFC, do better. And that concludes my dream fights for UFC 300. Hope you guys liked the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you next time. Ciao.